2017 T20 Australia Day Big Bash just around the corner, we take a look at the 4 teams competing in this year's edition. Only one team has survived from last year's tournament, with 3 new franchises being formed for this year's edition, with a dramatic increase in quality across the 4 sides. This is the 2017 edition of the Australia Day T20 Big Bash. And first up, we have defending champions How's That, the only franchise to survive from last season. They retained 2 of their 3 stars from last year, namely Brendan Scott and Madeline Maytom. Hamid Basha has been poached by another franchise, and Tom Doy will slot in to make his full debut at the WCG. Tom is handy with both bat and ball and should provide a good foil for Scott, who is expected to take most of the wickets and runs again for this series. Difficult to predict where How's That will finish up for the tournament, but with Brendan Scott in fine form in the 2 test matches played so far this season, if Madeline Maytom and Tom Doy can perform in parts throughout the tournament, they might be a show again. But as current champions, write them off at your peril. They are this year's tournament dark horse. How's That will begin their campaign with a tricky fixture against one of the tournament favourites, Wet Up. That takes us to our next franchise, one of the new franchises for the tournament, Nice Gary. They are expected to be the cellar dwellers for this tournament, though they have 2 of the more informed bowlers so far this season in George Pineros and Pat McGregor. Liam Richards will step in to make his full debut at the WCG, and although they have plenty of bowling stocks to call upon, it is their batting depth that comes into question. George Pineros has only made 4 runs in his 4 digs this year at the WCG, and Pat McGregor is coming off a king pair in the 2nd test match, with Liam Richards yet to bat. They are expected to finish last in this tournament, but if they do bowl well, they can pose a surprise. Their lack of versatility with the ball will also come into question, but Nice Gary have the ability to run straight through sides with their sheer pace, and if they do get it right on the day, they could be chasing some very small totals indeed. Nice Gary play the opening match of the tournament. They will take on one of the tournament favourites, Buckled 3. We now move on to the most experienced side of the tournament. Wet Up is a new franchise with a combined age of around about 120, but write them off at your peril. Matt White has been in patchy form with the bat, but has been in devastating form with the ball of late. Gavin Merrifield has only played the 1 match. He made his debut in the opening test match of the summer, with Mark Pasterfield handy with both bat and ball as well. All 3 members of this side can bat and bowl and field, and they are expected to go very, very close for the tournament. Mark Pasterfield is a late inclusion into the Wet Up side. He replaces Mitchell Walsh, who thinks he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and has done his back lifting weights. Wet Up will begin their tournament with a tricky fixture against the current champions How's That, with Matt White and Brendan Scott renewing their rivalry from the test match scene. A different tournament, but the same rivalry, make no mistake. That takes us to the final franchise of the tournament. New franchise Buckled 3 is expected to go all the way this year, with Michael Johnson and Hamid Basha, who was signed from How's That, starring in last year's T20. Hamid Basha was a star in the field for How's That last season, taking that famous catch in the semi-final and of course stopping Michael Johnson's effort with the last ball of the final last year. Todd Lavin is the 3rd member of the Buckled 3 unit. Didn't perform to the best of his abilities in last year's tournament, but is a much improved cricketer now, bowling brilliantly for Brandon's 11 in the 2nd test match, which saw them level the series. A very well balanced side in all 3 facets of the game, and come 6 o'clock on Australia Day, they are expected to be lifting the Australia Day T20 Cup. Buckled 3 begin their campaign in the opening match of the tournament as they take on Nice Gary. So the draw reads as this. The opening match of the tournament is Nice Gary taking on Buckled 3. Match 2 sees Wet Up taking on How's That. Match 3 is a blockbuster. The two tournament favourites square off. Buckled 3 taking on Wet Up. Match 4 sees How's That taking on Nice Gary. Match 5, How's That will back up again to take on the tournament favourites, Buckled 3, with Nice Gary taking on Wet Up in the final match before the final series. The team that finishes first after the round robin tournament will progress straight to the final, with second and third playing off to meet them there. So can How's That go back to back, or will we have a new champion come Thursday? This is the 2017 T20 Australia Day Big Bash.